there, and we've been doing ministry together at Southside for almost 15 years, and over 25 together as a married couple. And so we love doing life together and love doing ministry with one another and seeing God work in his miraculous ways. And I'm grateful for the friends that he sends to me. And that's why I believe I love the Well Chat so much, is because I'm able to just be a part of your life. And for those who are listening, for you to be a part of mine and us to be able to do life together. And as we're doing this recording, it's the week of Thanksgiving. And it's such a special time of year. And I believe it's probably one of my very special holidays because there's no gifts attached to it. There's no expectations other than family coming together, friends coming together and sharing a special time to be grateful. And we do have a lot to be grateful for. And in just my recent reading in the Bible and reading Luke, there was a verse that just really jumped out to me, and it's Luke 2:19, and it says, "But Mary was treasuring all of these things in her heart and meditating on them." And I just want to encourage everyone who's listening that this week, whether it's before or after Thanksgiving, and you're listening to this, watching this video, that you would take time to just sit and treasure all of the things that God has done for you, the different seasons and storms that maybe he's brought you through, the times where he's brought calmness to the rough waters, where he's made your path straight and he's leveled the valleys in your life, to be able to just sit and take a moment and meditate on those times and the goodness that he has brought to you. And today I have a piece of goodness that God has brought to me in my life, and it is such a sweet, sweet, dear friend, and her name is Margie, and I'm so excited to share her with all of you, my friends, today. Miss Margie Leonard, would you please tell us more about you and your sweet family?
Okay. Hello, Candy, and everyone else. I am married to Greg. We met at the Art Institute of Atlanta. We've been married for 35 years, and we have two adult kids. Kristen is my oldest, and she is married to Andy, and Josh is my youngest, and he's married to Sarah. So we have two bonus kids, and Kristen and Andy have a little 2-year-old. So I have a granddaughter. Her name is Macy, and she is such a joy. I have so much fun with her.
She is awesome. She's blessed to have you in her life, and so is your daughter, who I hear you talk about dear Macy and you spending time with her and keeping her for your daughter. That's a blessing. And
yes, I keep her 3 days a week, and it's like the best 3 days of the week.
That's awesome. I'm sure she loves you. What does she call you?
Gigi. I'm Gigi.
You're her Gigi.
It's part of my name anyway, so it just made sense.
That is true. That is great. That is great. Well, I know she probably looks so forward to coming to Gigi's house and hanging out with you. And
yes, we have lots of fun. Today we made cookies out of Oreos that look like turkeys.
Oh, how fun. That is great. I look forward to that season in my life.
Yes,
slow down.
It was fun. She made a few. I made most of them.
That sounds like fun. And you being an art girl, so tell us a little bit about that. So you were at the Art Institute, and that's where you and Greg met. So
right.
Tell us how you weave this talent that you have in your life.
Well, from the time I was little, I always felt like art was what I wanted to do. I don't know how I knew it. I guess I had this talent, and I knew that God gave it to me. So it was always a part of my life. I remember from the time I was in first grade, that's where I kind of realized that, well, I think I can draw. So it's just always been a part of my life ever since then. And my parents were, had the wisdom to just encourage me in that area. And so at first I wasn't sure if I should follow that plan, but I knew it was just a part of me. So I had thought of some other things I might try. I went to the Art Institute of Atlanta, and I looked into actually a different program at first. And then I thought, no, that's not for me. I'm just going to stick with what I know I'm good at. And that's where I ended up.
That's awesome. Well, you give your talent and your time to the Lord. You've helped me so many times recently when decorating for the well, and you do beautiful work, beautiful, very talented. And
Thank you. I enjoy it.
Give that back to the Lord is amazing. So you said that you and Mr. Greg have been married for 35 years.
Yep.
That is amazing. And what a legacy you're giving to those of us who are around you in your life and seeing you live that out. So tell us, if you could share one thing that you believe contributed to the success of your marriage.
Okay. I don't know if I can make it just one thing, but I think one of the first things I thought of was that I was looking for someone that was like-minded with me, like we had the same values and the same beliefs about marriage. And we knew that when we made that commitment that it was going to be for life. And there wasn't, I'm not saying absolutely that aren't circumstances where you might, that might not work out. But for us, we had the best examples in our life. Both of our parents were married for a very long time. My parents were married for 63 years and his parents for 65 years. And so that legacy that they've given us, we want to carry on to our children. And so the D word just was never an option. That's just something that we agreed on from the beginning. That wasn't going to be an option for us.
That is so good.
So it takes a lot of work. You go through ups and downs, hills and valleys, and, you just work through things.
That is so awesome. And I pray for all of our 20-somethings that are out there listening, you single girls who are looking for your Boaz in your life, to stick to that standard of being able to meet someone to spend the rest of your life with that is like-minded. That is so important. And Jeff and I were given the same advice when we're in premarital counseling, and that the D word doesn't exist, and you need to go find every dictionary in your house and cut it out. It's just not an option. There's no plan B. So I love that.
Well, and I hope that we've tried to set an example for our children. So I hope that they feel the same way. They both, my daughter's been married 7 years and my son just got married last year. So, but they both have married wonderful people. My daughter-in-law actually is named Sarah, which was my mother's name. And it's spelled the same way without the H. So she's also a blessing. And my son-in-law is awesome too.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it is evident just spending the few months with you that I've known you. It's probably not been a year yet. And
no, I don't think so.
But that's all you talk about, Miss Margie, and I love it. You talk about Greg, and you talk about your son and your daughter-in-law and your daughter and your son-in-law and dear little Macy, and it's so evident that they are such a priority for you and for your time and taking care of them and being there for them. Encourage us moms who are still in this season of kind of crazy, like I've got one that's 21, 16, and 11, and they're all going in different directions. But encourage us moms of just seeing your children a tick older than where mine are now, how vital it is to be there for your family and to be a part of their lives.
Well, I have been really blessed when Kristen was born. I didn't realize this. I thought I would just keep working, but my husband came to me and said, maybe we can do it where you don't have to work anymore and you can stay home. So I was able to stay home with our kids, and their whole lives I was just involved in whatever they did. So that's always just kind of been my thing. It's just the room mom, the party planner,
awesome.
The going on all the field trips, taking care of all the activities, all the sports, driving the other kids to the sports, and just being very involved, which was a lot of fun. And like I said, I was very blessed and enjoyed all of it and missed it a lot after they grew up and went to college. So that was, kind of a sad time. So I did start working for a little while there. I was working at Chick-fil-A for a little while in marketing. And then I did I've always done freelance work also on the side. So my focus was the kids and our family, but I've always had opportunities to do some freelance work here and there. So after they grew up and went to college and have families of their own now, I've just always felt like I wanted to be available to, help them if they needed me. And of course, that was, a big part of where I helped Macy out, was just wanting to be available for them. She is in she's not now because of COVID, but she was in daycare a few days a week. So I was keeping her 2 days a week. And now I do 3 days a week. And then they tag team her the other 2 days at home because they both work from home. So I just wanted to be available and help them with their home projects or whatever they need. So we go to their house and help them when we can. And we just went to Florida to help my son and his wife. They just bought a house this year. And so it's a fixer-upper. Both my kids bought fixer-uppers. So we've been helping them with projects, and it's been fun.
That's awesome. Well, I know that you're a treasure to them because our parents are still close to us. And I know we need our parents in different seasons of our life, and when we're making big decisions and when we're doing these DIY jobs at our projects at our homes.
Greg has done a lot of DIY jobs around our house, so they always call him for the major things that they need help with. Yes. He does tile work and a lot of other things.
That is awesome to be able to lend back to them your expertise and when you can help and lend a hand from here to there. But I've just learned over the years that being a present parent, it takes time, and that it's something that we will never regret. That is a regret we'll never have, is being present for our kids, being available. And I do like the fact that even as they get older, they still need us, because I thrive on being needed.
So sometimes I don't feel needed enough.
Oh, wow. Well, if they don't need you, I do. So I need you, Ms. Margie. Well, tell me a little bit about, I've recently learned that you are adopted, and
yes.
Share with us your adoption story.
Yes. Well, when you first told me you were going to ask me about that, I was thinking, oh, yay, that's my favorite story. I love it. I was adopted when I was just 1 month old. So I, was a tiny infant. And I like to say that my story begins from before I was even born, because God had a plan for me. Yes. And my favorite verse is Psalms 139, 13 through 16. For thou didst form my inward parts, thou didst weave them in my mother's womb. I will give thee thanks, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are thy works, and my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from thee when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the depths of the earth. Thine eyes have seen my unformed substance, and in thy book they were all written. Mm-hmm. The days that were ordained for me, when as yet there was not even one of them. So God just brought us together as a family. My parents had tried to have a baby for like 10 years and never got pregnant. And so when I was born, God gave me to them and them to me. So it was a blessing both ways. And I just know that it was like a divine interaction from the Lord. And I couldn't have asked for better parents. I may not have been conceived under the best situation or circumstances, but I was definitely wanted as a baby, maybe not by my birth mother, but by my parents.
Yes.
So I would just, had a great childhood, and, I have wonderful memories of growing up, and they were just the best.
That is awesome. And I'm sure that, that feeling of someone wanting you and knowing that throughout your entire life, what assurance that is and security in your heart. And how does that help you relate to being adopted into God's family? What does that mean to you?
Well, that just was so easy for me to understand the concept, because I always grew up knowing I was adopted. And my mom used to tell me that was like my favorite story to hear when I was a kid, and they would put me to bed and tuck me in. And that was a story I always wanted to hear, was how they got me and how they waited for me. And when they found out that I was born, how excited they were, and how the church celebrated. And, it's just, so that was always my favorite story. So it was just very easy for me to understand that concept. So I came to know the Lord when I was young, and just, understood what it meant to be in God's family now that He adopted me into His home.
That is awesome. And He wanted you to. Sometimes it's great to know that we're loved, but like I know that my kids love me, but for them to want me for something and not just need me, that's just so special to me. And I love that you mentioned that. And it's just so good to know that God wants us. He wants a relationship with us. He wants us to spend time with Him. He wants to bless us. And I just think it's just such an amazing relationship, and to be able to relate to that relationship that you've had on earth too with the Lord is amazing. So Thanksgiving, it's just in a couple of days, Margie. And I know. I have the fondest memory. What's that?
I have a lot to do.
You have a lot to do. Well, I have the fondest memories. I was talking about that verse and just treasuring up the memories that we've had in life, and to just take a minute and to be able to just sit and think back on your childhood at the Thanksgiving meals that we've had, and packing into a little house that my grandmother had. And, I know that she slaved over that turkey and the dressing and all the fixings. And I think, man, I wish I would have taken more time to learn how to prepare turkey. And I'm still very blessed that my mother-in-law, she still does our turkey for us, and my dad has he's deep fried a turkey before. It's very good, and he's great about stuffing the turkey with all kinds of yumminess and baking it, roasting it, I guess. So I still depend on them. But Margie, have you got your turkey ready?
Well, I did depend on them a lot too, so I never learned either. So I got my turkey from Sam's, and it's already smoked, so I don't have to do anything but warm it up. That's the way to go.
That's awesome. So
that's the way to go.
So for all of you girls out there who are stressing over making a turkey, you can just go buy one that's already cooked.
I know. I don't remember who told me that, but last year was the first year that I did that. And it was great, and it was easy. So that's just what I did. And that's what I'm doing again this year. And before that, it was always either my mom or my sister took care of the turkey, so I didn't have to worry about it. And now I'm too old to try to learn how to cook a turkey. Well, I'm not worried about it.
That's a goal of mine. I am going to ask my mother-in-law this year to write down step-by-step directions so I can make a turkey in some point in my life. And it was so funny because Lennox at the outlet mall went out of business not too long ago. She had a friend that worked there, and she got me a roaster, and she brought it to me. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? She says, you need to learn how to use it. That's what she said. So maybe we can do a cooking show together, Margie.
Oh, that would be fun.
We can make us a turkey for next.
I'm better with desserts and side dishes.
Me too. So what's your favorite? What's your favorite little side dish to make?
Okay, one of my favorites is, this is probably weird to some people, but I like the pineapple cheese and cracker dish, and my son likes it. So that makes me happy because now I can make it and say, well, that was Josh's favorite.
I love it.
I always try to have at least one or two favorites from everyone.
That's good. That is great. That is great. Well, so we talked about these amazing ladies that we've had in our life. I mean, I think I had two amazing grandmothers. My mom was incredible. I have an amazing mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is the only lady that I still have in my life that is with us and is very present in our lives and does so very much for us. And I think about the heritage and the legacy that these ladies left me. And I wanted to ask you what those ladies left you and your heritage, but I just wanted to say for me, I think about the faithfulness that the ladies that I had in my life had for their family. And they were just always there. It didn't matter what had happened. They were going to be there for their husbands and for their children, no matter what. And that was a lesson that I pray that I'm able to live out in my life and give to my children. So you tell us what heritage, what legacy means the most to you that you've been given from those ladies?
Well, it sounds like we have a lot in common with our background when it comes to grandmothers and mothers, because all of mine were awesome too. My grandmothers on my mom and dad's side, both of them were very strong, faithful, godly women. And my grandmother on my mom's side actually lived with us most of the time until I was 16 years old. So, and she was just a very sweet, soft-spoken lady, but very godly woman. And I don't ever remember hearing her raise her voice. And she was just, we called her Nanny. And that was a blessing having her in our lives and growing up with her most of the time. She would visit some of her other kids occasionally and stay for a few months at a time, but most of the time she was with us. And my dad's mother in Virginia, we would go see them on holidays, usually Thanksgiving or Christmas, maybe once in the summer, but she just always made the best food. That's one of the things I remember about her. She was such a great cook, and we just had delicious desserts and candies, and we just always had the best Christmases up there growing up in Virginia. I mean, visiting Virginia for the holidays. And then my mom and Greg's mom, my mother-in-law, both the same thing, just very godly women, always in the church, always serving in the church. My mother taught Sunday school for 60 years. So from the time she was 16 or 17, she started teaching children's church, children's Sunday school, and always, until she was probably close to 78 or 80, taught Sunday school at church, always taught a ladies class. And she served in the church for many, many years when we were in Miami. I grew up in Miami till I was 14, and she was in a trio. So she sang all the time. So that's one of my favorite memories about my mom is just, she would sing all the time around the house. Always, at Christmas time, always singing Christmas songs, and just made it lots of fun. And just both of them, and my mother-in-law, like I said, she was a prayer warrior, but always serving in the church. And she was very sweet, soft-spoken. She's a pastor's wife. My father-in-law is a pastor, or he was pastor for like 40 years. He was on the mission field for 20 years, and then a church in Mobile, Alabama for another 20 years. And then he had to retire when my mother-in-law got sick with Parkinson's. And so she wasn't able to go to church anymore as she got close to her passing. And but she would still ask about everyone at church, pray for everyone at church, pray for all of her kids and grandkids by name. So I've just had a very, very blessed Christian heritage on both sides.
Amen. And I was just thinking about the years that you kept saying, and how was it your mom that served in church for over 60 years, and she started when she was in her later teenage years, 16, 17-year-old. And I just want to encourage all of our young ladies that are listening today to get started on the legacy and the heritage that you want to leave for your future, for your children, for your grandchildren, for your your great grandchildren, and because they're going to talk about this one day, and just what a treasure and a sacrifice you made, even at an early age in life. And I did not even know your mother-in-law, but to know that she was a pastor's wife for 40 something years, and on the mission field for half of those years, is just, she's a saint to me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I didn't know her, but
right.
She
just passed away this year, so we miss her. It's going to be a very different Thanksgiving and Christmas this year without her. So,
and it's hard, and
we're missing her.
And it's hard for traditions to change. I know for us, even with COVID happening, and some of our traditions aren't going to be able to happen this year, and it is hard. And so I think that it just makes us need to have a sense of urgency even greater to sit and ponder and treasure up and remember the wonderful holidays that we have had together, and to keep talking about them. I love my mom's in heaven, my grandmothers are in heaven, but I love sitting around during these holidays and talking about them, and just letting my children know what role they played in my life and how special they were to me, and it keeps them alive,
right,
and with us.
Right.
So I just encourage everybody to talk about your loved ones.
That's what one of the things I do want to do is, I think we did this last year. I don't remember for sure, but I think we did, is just go around the table and have everyone share a favorite memory from about their grandparents, which were my parents, because my mom passed away in 2016 in December, and then my dad just a year and a couple months later in 2018 in February. But I just want my kids to realize how blessed they were with their grandparents, and not forget the memories they had. And so we're going to try to share memories again at Thanksgiving.
That's awesome. That's very good. Well, so just to wrap us up, Miss Margie, share with us a lesson, a challenge that you've had in your life that you could give us, that we can be encouraged with.
Okay. I think the Lord has really showed me over the last several years that He is going to be there for me when I need Him, and He's going to provide for me what I need when I need it. I really it's just been a lot of changes over the last several years. Like I said, I was taking care of my parents when they were both sick. They actually moved in with us for, my mom only lived a few months after she moved in with us, and my dad lived another year and a month or two. So it was a very challenging time, very hard. I was very nervous and scared about the future and how to take care of them and what was going to happen, and I didn't feel qualified, and physically I was really just kind of breaking down. I had this terrible anxiety. I just didn't really know how to deal with it. And my husband actually was the one that invited them to live with us without even talking to me first. He just stepped up to the plate, and I thought that was just very strong of him, and I was really proud of him for inviting them. But we could see that they needed help, and so and I was glad that they were living with us, and I know it was a blessing to have them with us, but I just was fearful. So the Lord showed me, I started meditating on several verses about fear, that just to rely on Him. And so He gave me what I needed when I needed it. And the week before my dad passed, we found out that Kristen was pregnant. So I was thrilled about her being pregnant, but we hadn't started telling people yet. And even though I was heartbroken when my dad passed away, I had this little secret, that I was excited about a grandbaby on the way. So He gave me that hope to look forward to, till she was born 9 months later. And, but there was some times during that during that low, kind of dark period in my life where I was so afraid, where I actually had spoken to a counselor, that recommended maybe I take some, a medication for anxiety. So it was just a season in my life where, like, physically my body was shaking from the time I woke up till I went to bed. And I knew I needed something because I felt my body shaking all the time. Wow. So I just did it for a season, but I think, God got me through that, and I received, had so many blessings from my parents living with me, and just the joy. We had lots of good memories of them living with us, even though my mom was so sick before she passed. She was a very funny lady, and I miss both of them terribly, but I have a lot of good memories, and, it just taught me, even now, still, it wasn't too long after my dad passed away, we were planning on moving to Newnan because that's where I was from, and my dad had a house there, and we had property there. But we thought, well, our daughter lives in Maysville, and maybe we should just move on up that way. And we know there's going to be a grandbaby pretty soon. So we had started making plans to move up here to Jefferson in this area so we could be close to her. Not too long after my dad passed away. And even, during this last few years with all these changes, I've, left my hometown, left our home, left my friends, I lost my parents, and I moved to a new area and I had to find a new church. And I was like, sometimes it was just overwhelming. It was so many changes, and I was just, so fearful. But, my husband was like, well, I think this is what we need to do. And part of me wanted to be close to my daughter and son-in-law, and the grandbaby, but part of me didn't want to leave what I was comfortable with and what I was used to. And, but, every step of the way, we just felt the reassurance, that this is where we need to be. And I don't regret it. I mean, I still miss our hometown, but I know we're where we're supposed to be now. And, God's just blessing us every day. And so I'm making new friends like you, who I love to pieces already. Here we are.
That is amazing, Miss Margie. And I think that, there's so many ladies out there that do struggle with this area of anxiety. And I know for myself, even, I probably wouldn't call it anxiety for myself, but just being, like you said, the word overwhelmed. And I can take myself and make myself be overextended in the matter of a minute. And
yeah, I've noticed that.
And it may not be that my mind and my heart feels stressed out, but my body does. And so I think that we have to take times and we have to evaluate where we are in life. And sometimes that does require the help of a doctor. And sometimes, and all of the time, it takes it necessitates our great physician coming into our lives and showing us places where we need to trust him, things that we need to let go of and give to him and allow him to work it out for us. And to just know that we don't have to be afraid. He's got over 365 verses in the book, in the good word, that tells us that we do not have to be afraid. And another verse that just really spoke to me lately, out of Luke again, where he talked about how he was the fulfillment of the prophecy that Isaiah gave, that he would come and he would fill in the valleys for us, and that he would make our path straight. And so many times we feel like we're in this deep valley that we can't get out of. We can't see past the valley to even see a mountaintop that he has coming for us. But that's what he wants to do for us. He wants to fill in those gaps. He wants to be that gap for us, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that he sent me, dear Margie, to Jefferson, Georgia. So you may have came for your daughter and your granddaughter, but I feel like you have a goddaughter here that needed you too. And
we've been so blessed by the church and just getting to know everyone there, and it's very similar to the style of church that we came from, and we're really loving it. It's just been a blessing.
That is wonderful.
And you too, especially.
Well, we're grateful for Greg and Margie Leonard and for your family being here. And to all of you that are listening, we would like to invite you to Southside Church. We have services on Sunday mornings in 2 campuses, in Commerce and in Redstone at 2 different times, 9:15 and 11. And we invite you to join us. Come join us during the holiday season and let us become your friend. Let us become your church family, and invite you to come home with us. And we're just grateful that you joined us today, and know that you are loved, and that we pray you have a very wonderful Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas. So thank you, Miss Margie, for joining us. Goodbye, friends. It's great to have you with us.